What's up everyone, it's Dakota and welcome back to another Modern video. And while we wait for Moto to publish some new deck lists from challenges and whatnot, and we kind of work through all the BS that we're kind of facing in terms of getting kind of the information, there's still some pretty cool Pro Tour MH3 decks that we can look at, and none other than this Gruul Prowess deck that's doing a lot of really cool things. And I kind of expected this deck to be more of a thing early on in the format, especially with Slickshot Show Off showing up and just kind of the history of some of these other cards that are in this deck. But of course, before we get too deep into the Gruul Prowess deck and talk about some of the ins and outs and what makes it unique and kind of fun, honestly, for the current format that we're in, if you're already subscribed to the channel and you want to see more videos from me, the easiest way to do so is to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know when those future videos get posted, as I do a lot of content based on the Modern and Pioneer format, and some other longer form discussion videos. So again, if any of that interests you, go ahead, support my channel, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So Gruul Prowess, this deck in particular is piloted by Brian Boss. Now, this wasn't the best performing Gruul Prowess deck at the Pro Tour, but it was definitely at least the most unique from the best performing decks. I believe it had like the second best record among like the archetype. So the thing that sets this one apart from all the other ones is that it has a neat little combo, if you will, of the card Assault Strobe, which for 1 red mana gives a target creature double strike until end of turn, and the card Scale Up that says until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a green worm with base power toughness 6/4. And you can overload it for 6, but we're not getting that far. We're using it for 1 mana to turn one of our creatures into a 6/4. And how neat that this card works with all the other like Prowess creatures, Dragon Rage Chandler, and Slickshot Show Off, is that it changes their base power and toughness to 6/4, but they still retain the Prowess ability, so that if, say, a Soulscar Mage gets targeted with a Scale Up, it'll get its Prowess trigger to become a 2/3, but then it'll then become a base power 6/4, but it retains that +1/+1 from Prowess, so it's actually a 7/5 when Scale Up resolves. And with Slickshot Show Off, the same thing kind of happens, where you cast a Scale Up targeting the Slickshot Show Off. It'll get +2/+0, making it a 3/2, but then it'll become a base power toughness 6/4, and you still have that original +2/+0, which means that it's an 8/4 when the Scale Up resolves. Meaning that then you can cast Assault Strobe targeting the Slickshot Show Off. It's still going to get +2/+0. Meaning that it goes from an 8/4 to a 10/4. It's going to be double strike. You attack 20 damage right to your opponent's face on turn 3, and all you need is 2 lands to do so. Of course, you can push even more damage if need be with Mishra's Bauble, which is not, there we go. It's decided to be finicky today, which has been kind of a staple of some of these Prowess decks because it is a free way to trigger Prowess, it's a free way to trigger Dragon Rage Chandler, Slickshot Show Off, whatever, and it lets you play a little bit lower of a land count, so then you can go and try to hit your land drops. You're able to keep one landers more effectively. Another thing that this deck is kind of doing that I think is really, really neat is playing Legion Leadership, which is a modal double face card, which means like on the backside you can play, the land if need be. But the real power in this comes from the actual spell side of it, where you can double target creatures' power and it's it negates first strike. So this is like kind of a way that you can win combat. So you can target just like a Soulscar Mage or a Swift Spear. It ends up becoming a 4-power creature, first strike something down. It's going to end up killing a reasonable amount of the format. But the big thing is doubling target creature's power with the evasiveness of Slickshot Show Off, plus something like a Monstrous Rage. Monstrous Rage on Slickshot Show Off has been a huge thing to do in Pioneer. And, think of this. You cast it, it becomes a 3/2. Then your spell resolves, becomes a 5/2, then a 6/3. And then you end up casting a Legion's Leadership. It goes up to 8. You have a 16-power Slickshot Show Off there, which in a lot of cases can also just end the game right there, while the Scale Up Assault Strobe combo definitely ends the game on the spot. Assault Strobe also getting to, again, work well with something like a Monstrous Rage because of the fact that you get the Monster Roll token, which gives your creature trample. So, again, if you just have something like a Swift Spear or Soulscar Mage, and you end up putting a Monstrous Rage on it on one turn, you go to the other turn, it has the Wicked Roll token. If you like Mutagenic Growth plus Assault Strobe, that's like +3 damage. Ends up being 5/6. You have a 12-power Trampler coming through. Or, excuse me, a 6-power Trampler that's going to end up being able to deal up to 12 damage. So, really neat there. Going to like the mana base, there's no play with anything going on. Like, a lot of your things have haste. The only thing that really doesn't have haste is like Soulscar Mage and a Dragon's Rage Channeler. So there's no reason to play like Arena of Glory. So you're seeing like a Commercial District as a surveil land that you can get kind of later in the game if you're just looking for maybe a Mishra's Bauble to trigger some prowess triggers, trigger Slick Shot Show Off to kind of just push through the last points of damage, maybe look for a Lightning Bolt to try to end the game. But aside from that, you have Arid Mesa, Bloodstained Mire, Scalding Tarn, and Wooded Foothills to pair along with 3 Stomping Ground and 3 Mountain as your lands that mainly produce mana. Again, the Commercial District really just, I think, is like a last-ditch effort. Maybe if you're stuck on one land, you really don't have a 1-mana play that you want to make, which I would find very hard to believe, but, you could go and fetch a Commercial District to try to, like, with the Mishra's Bauble trick, you can look at a bunch of cards, essentially, between that and the Commercial District to find a second land to kind of set up, plot Show Off, and then go into scale up Assault Strobe. In the sideboard, we have 2 Tormod's Crypt, 2 Pick Your Poison, 2 Snakeskin Veil, 2 Abrade, 3 Harsh Mentor, which is a really neat addition to the deck. This is strictly, I believe, a Nadu card, because if you activate whenever opponent activates the ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, and if it isn't a mana ability, deals 2 damage to that player. Funny enough that if your opponent just cracks a fetch land into this Harsh Mentor, they take 2 damage. If they activate Shuko, or if they activate the Outrider on core, they're going to take 2 damage from the Harsh Mentor, and they got to figure out a way to deal with it before their life total hits 0, which is really neat. You have 4 Questing Druid here, which is some card advantage / another creature that is going to get kind of big from casting your spells that are not just green. So, I mean, you're not going to get triggers from Mutagenic Growth, Scale Up, Blossoming Defense, what have you. But, with a couple of counters on Questing Druid and then casting a Scale Up, it's going to have the same kind of effect as some of these Prowess creatures / Dragon Rage Channeler / Slick Shot Show Off, where, you have like 3 or 4 counters on this thing and you turn it into a base power toughness 6/4. It's going to end up being a 10 power thing. And then, of course, like Monstrous Rage plus Assault Strobe is just a ton of damage there and just ending the game, like, basically on the spot. So, yeah, that is the Gruul Prowess deck for the Modern format. A really quick one this week, kind of makes sense because the deck itself doesn't really have too much going for it. You kind of have this combo where, like, you can just straight up end the game on turn 3. You're going to be able to play a Slick Shot Show Off. Even if you draw like a 3rd land, you're able to go like Assault Strobe, Monstrous Rage, Scale Up, and just push through tons of damage. I think it's like something like 30 damage or whatever. Like, you play Slick Shot, it becomes an 8/4 with the Scale Up. Becomes a 10 power thing with the Monstrous Rage, 12/13 when it's all said and done. Assault Strobe makes it 15. That's like a 15/4, like a 15/5, like double striking, flying, like haste trampler on turn 3. Like that's going to kill your opponent from, basically like anywhere at any time, like regardless of the game state and almost regardless of whatever deck they are playing. So this deck definitely has a lot of pump and a lot of power to just end the game and deal tons of damage. Even if the attacks don't necessarily end the game, you are playing a decent amount of burn between like Lava Dart and Lightning Bolt that you can kind of finish off your opponent from, with the last few points of damage. And this sweet kind of Underworld Breach style deck as well, where, you can just play this and either have it be like a value type thing where you just cast a bunch of Mishra's Baubles with some Dragon Rage Channelers in play, draw a bunch of cards, and from there you're probably able to draw enough threat density, enough like pump spells and whatnot with already enough creatures in play to where you can kind of end the game on the spot, or on the next turn rather. You can end the game, or you can just like play this, maybe you have like 1 or 2 other lands in play, and then you can go like Assault Strobe Scale Up, or like Scale Up plus Monstrous Rage, or what have you, and again, just deal tons of damage to your opponent. So yeah, that's Gruul Prowess. I kind of look forward to playing this deck. I kind of want to get it on camera and that, because it is a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun playing the Gruul Prowess decks, and it feels so empowering playing it because there's a lot of fancy things you can do in the Modern format, a lot of cool things you can do in the format, and turns out, the best type of card advantage and the best kind of value you can get for your time is just ending the game like on turn 3 with basically like almost any combination of cards that you can come up with this deck that includes Scale Up and Assault Strobe. So yeah, that's going to be this video. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like in the video, comment down below what deck you would like to see next, or hopefully we'll get some sweet deck lists from, some of the Moto dumps that are not the Nadu deck that hopefully will not exist for too much longer, and then that'll be its whole video in itself, kind of talking about where we went wrong with such a card. But yeah, of course, leave suggestions down in the comments down below, talk about the deck, whatever you want. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. It's a great easy way to support me and my content. Come and get to 1K subscribers. I really appreciate all the help that we've had on this journey so far, and looking to continue it. But yeah, that's going to be this video. Hope you all enjoyed it, and hope to see you all in the next one.